Welcome back to Criminally Human, where behind every headline lies a story, a person, and a tragedy that didn't have to happen. Today we peel back the layers of the Idaho murders case like never before. Think you know what happened? Think again. This video reveals why the man convicted might be a scapegoat in a far darker, twisted story. The brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho students shocked the nation. Bryan Kohberger was arrested after his DNA was found on a knife sheath at the crime scene, a key piece of evidence. He pleaded guilty. But with newly released photos and documents, serious questions cast doubt on the official story, suggesting Kohberger might not be the cold-blooded killer he's portrayed to be. He could be the fall guy in a case full of silence, withheld evidence, and unanswered questions. The knife sheath with Kohberger's DNA became the prosecution's smoking gun. But forensic experts warn such evidence isn't always foolproof. Knife sheaths can be handled by many or even planted, especially in high-profile cases under pressure to close quickly. Questions arose about how the evidence was collected, stored, and analyzed, with concerns over contamination or chain of custody breaches. Defense attorneys argued that delays in disclosing this evidence and gaps in the forensic timeline seriously weaken the case. When a single DNA piece matters so much, even a small mistake can mean the difference between guilt and innocence. The newly released crime scene photos show a bloody nightmare with strange, almost staged elements. Among the most chilling are handprints smeared on a dirty window, seeming oddly deliberate. Food containers, solo cups, and delivery bags remain untouched, suggesting victims were caught off guard or the scene was left unusually. Even more troubling, the front door was reportedly off its hinges weeks before the murders, indicating prior attempts to gain access. Why was this ignored? If Kohberger was the killer, why leave behind the knife sheath linking him to the scene? Media coverage fixates on Kohberger's appearance, especially his bushy eyebrows, as if that proves guilt. But hours after the murders, Kohberger was seen calmly taking photos. The defense argues the eyewitness who described a masked man with bushy eyebrows was intoxicated, making that description unreliable. This key testimony, which prosecutors rely on, could be mistaken or misleading. Eyewitnesses also describe an unknown man lurking near victims weeks before, someone who doesn't match Kohberger. Why hasn't law enforcement identified this person? Why focus on minor details over solid evidence? Eyewitness testimony can be powerful but dangerously unreliable, especially under stress or intoxication. The key witness describing bushy eyebrows was reportedly intoxicated, which can distort memory. Studies show witnesses in such states often fill gaps or are influenced by media portrayals. The defense used this to challenge the prosecution's narrative, showing why so much weight on this detail is questionable. And let's not forget, on the night of the murders, a nearby witness reported hearing 2 distinct voices, 2 people. Yet the official story centers on a lone killer. Why haven't investigators addressed this? Who was the second voice? This unsettling detail adds another shadowy layer to an already tangled case. Could there have been accomplices? Or someone else entirely? The silence speaks volumes. In the weeks leading up to the murders, neighbors expressed growing concern about suspicious activity near the victim's home. Reports of an unidentified man lurking nearby circulated widely, with descriptions that don't match Kohberger. Despite these warnings, police failed to publicly identify or interview this person, raising questions about investigative priorities. The community's unease grew as stories of stalking and forced entry circulated, yet official action remained slow or dismissive. This troubling pattern of overlooked warning signs suggests either negligence or a deliberate effort to suppress leads that could point elsewhere. Failure to fully investigate these reports leaves a glaring hole in the official narrative, fueling speculation about potential accomplices or alternate suspects. The key DNA evidence comes from genetic material on a K-bar knife sheath found at the crime scene. But how was this critical evidence overlooked so long? How can we trust the chain of custody? Defense raised concerns about contamination or planting, which would seriously undermine the case. Reasonable doubt must be considered, especially when so much hinges on one piece of DNA. Both defense and public see gaps in Kohberger's timeline. Equally troubling are holes in the police investigation. Why were reports of suspicious activity, forced entry, and stalking ignored or downplayed? The community was on edge weeks before, but police response was slow. The sudden focus on Kohberger after months of limited leads feels rushed to close the case. Further suspicion comes from reports investigators found ID badges and strange keepsakes belonging to women at Kohberger's parents' home. Some insiders whisper these aren't just souvenirs but planted evidence to frame the family, or signs of deeper sinister connections. Could Kohberger's family be tied to murder-for-hire or drug cartel networks operating in the shadows? The lack of explanation deepens the mystery, suggesting a cover-up to mislead and shield powerful players. These discoveries hint at a web of criminal complicity few dare expose. A gag order kept case details hidden for months. Photos and documents were only released after Kohberger's guilty plea, suggesting damage control. The media pushed a tidy story, lone killer caught by forensic science. But this ignores conflicting evidence, eyewitness accounts, and unknown suspects. Who benefits from silencing witnesses? Kohberger's motive remains unclear. Though obsessed with violent crime, obsession alone doesn't explain killing 4 unrelated victims. The quick plea and lack of motive raise questions of coercion or plea deals. His profile clashes with typical offenders. Was he forced to be the fall guy? Or is there a darker force behind the scenes? He fits the profile authorities want: a young, isolated doctoral student obsessed with violent crime. Easy to demonize and convict. His plea shields the system, protects accomplices, and offers closure. Whether justice was served is uncertain. Kohberger may be the sacrificial lamb bearing blame for a crime with deeper, darker roots. The new photos and evidence doesn't confirm him as the murderer. They reveal cracks in the official story, silences from law enforcement, and many unanswered questions. To find real justice, we must look beyond appearances and quick convictions. Who benefits from Kohberger's fall? What secrets remain hidden? The truth lies buried beneath deception, and it's up to us to uncover it. Please like and subscribe, but most of all, stay human.